Recording in progress.
Hello, Chang.
Hello there, guys.
Hi there, Chang.
Welcome.
Hi, John. Hi, Radu.
How are you?
Perfect.
Where are you?
I'm actually in Washington, D.C., but I will be soon departing for Korea to welcome your president.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
He not technically he's not my president, but that's a different discussion.
Oh, well, it's okay.
Yeah, which president? That's
Come on,
a good question. Which one?
Whatever. Okay. Okay. Well, somebody's president.
I'm not president. Okay,
He's not mine either.
right. Well, he's going over those big discussions on the energy. I know that.
Well, SMR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'll see that in my lifetime, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We can all dream.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I think the echo is
So,
because of me, so I'm gonna mute myself. No, oh, the echo is gone now. Okay, so
Let me say something.
Okay.
Okay, good. It's not because of me. Okay.
Oh, there's Jim. Okay, so
Hey,
I'm gonna
Jim.
mute myself and I'm gonna hand it over to Jim and Radu and Dana.
Okay.
Well, good morning and good evening, everybody.
Good morning, Jim.
So, as I understand, this was scheduled to have an additional follow-up discussion with folks who are interested on visa waiver. But I was not on the previous discussion on it, so I'm not quite sure where the state of play is. And maybe we also ought to have other folks who are on here introduce themselves.
Okay.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, Dana, but maybe you could do a quick recap for Jim on what was discussed during the live stream.
Sure. So, Jim, I was being asked very eloquently by the executive the media executive, Mr. Florescu, as to what the strategy is for the Visa Waiver Program. So I recapped that the strategy is dual. Number one, encourage renewals of visas. And number two, discourage Romanian citizens outside of Romania from applying for first-time B1, B2 visa. And there's an explanation for both of those strategies. If you're curious, I will recap that for you as well. But basically, that's it. Plus, what the reasons are for why we are so much closer to the Visa Waiver Program admission. And I opined that it's because of people like Ambassador Muraru and Alianta and others who have gotten these two countries closer together. So we're at the point in time of bilateral relations that are so close. And with the Ukrainian war in the vicinity, it just makes sense that Romania, such a staunch NATO ally, would enjoy visa-free travel to the United States. And so this is where we are, and I'm happy to explain the details, the technical details as an immigration lawyer as to why we have the dual strategy that I presented to you.
No, that's great. No, thank you for making that presentation. I think the intent of this was to have a follow-up with some folks who want to talk a little bit more. And I wanted to ask these, Raluca spoke up, Chang spoke up, you guys have, and I see Victor Alster or Alifar. Are you here, Victor? See your name? I don't see your face.
I am. Yes. Yes.
Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm. Good morning, everybody. I'm honorary consul in California. So California being the way it is, very interested in this topic. So I just wanted to see if Dana, who I know very good, is going to bring any news and so we can share with the rest of the community here.
No, terrific. Are you in Northern or Southern California?
In Northern California.
Terrific. Well, thanks very much for joining us.
No, thank you.
And then we have an additional guest whose name I can't quite read. Stelian? Yeah. Can you join us and introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. Hey, Jim. Stelian Dragan. I'm a Romanian citizen based in New York and Bermuda. I'm at the moment in Bermuda. US citizen. However, this topic has been of interest to me. I have friends and family in Romania that I think would benefit from a sea change waiver like this. So yeah, it just popped up in my email, and
Right.
I decided to hop on. And Radu, good to see you, mate.
Good to see you.
Quite a while, and congrats. I saw on Facebook that
All the pictures.
well, you guys looked awesome.
Thank you.
Congrats again.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us. Well, why don't each of you guys jump in? Because I know the background of this, having worked on this with
Yeah.
Alianta.
I think, Donna, how do you want to do it? I think just explain. Your role, I think, is very clear. I've spoken about visa waiver a couple of times at the gala at the Alianta gala among the panelists, with you, by the way, as well. So just to be clear on my involvement, I'm part of obviously I'm the head of on the board of the Friends of Alianta in Romania. And we were asked by the Romanian government to get involved and help with the messaging. It's very important to get the messaging right to the Romanian citizens who wish to apply for a visa. So our efforts have been focused with the help and support of Alianța and other sponsors that through Alianța are supporting our efforts on the communication side. We have been putting out the message about the basic, the ABCs about how to apply for a visa, to make sure that it's done in the proper way, they get the information right, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of that, we've also talked about we've been focusing about the renewals, because the renewals of visa is a low-hanging fruit. And why is that? Very simple, because if you have a visa or a visa that's about to expire, you do not need to go through the normal first-time applicant process, which means going online, then making an appointment for an interview at the embassy, waiting in line at the embassy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It can be done online. It's a very simple procedure. The chances of getting your visa renewed, if you have an existing visa or about to expire visa, is like 99.9% rate. So it's high chances to do so. What I think was important, I think people pretty much understand the backdrop of why Romania is pushing hard to get on the Visa Waiver Program, strong alliance with the United States, strategic partnership, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it'd be helpful just to for people to understand where we're at right now, because I had a conversation this morning with the Consulate General in Bucharest, and also with Valentin, who's the representative for the Romanian government. We're still behind the curve, to make it very clear. Okay, the influencer campaign that we launched at the beginning of January and February had a very good impact. There's been an uptick in applicants, in renewal applicants at the embassy, and that's going well, and people feel confident about it, but we're still behind the curve. Where we have a big problem is the diaspora. The rate of rejection for Romanians applying for a visa to enter the United States in places like Milan and Madrid is very elevated. And what makes it worse, because we have sort of a target number of about 80,000 positive responses on visa applications. That's the goal, 80,000. And then we believe that if we get the 80,000, we'll be at the 3% level or lower. The problem was, for every single visa applicant that gets rejected, it negates 33 positive visa applications that get accepted. So basically, in very simple terms, every time one person gets rejected, 33 applicants that did get a visa, it knocks it off our formula to get to 3%. So it's a very big impact. So, if we have 80,000, let's just take the 80,000 number. Yeah. If we get, we get 1,000 applicants get rejected, we won't make it. So where we're at right now is we are now developing a sort of communication strategy on how to address the diaspora outside of Romania, and basically to discourage it, because obviously the United States government nor the Romanian government can actively go out and discourage people from applying for a visa. what we're trying to do through the influence campaign and the influencer campaign, the second stage that we're working on, it's going to be actually with musicians, but I won't go too much of the details yet, is to get people to wait. What we want people to do is, before you apply, think about it, wait a while. This is a national, this is a national effort. It's good for Romania, good for the community, good for our Romania standing, both in Europe and the United States, worldwide for that matter. And that's really the objective of the campaign, because if we continue on the trend that we're seeing now with the current rejection rate where it is, we're going to have problems. Because the issue in Romania, it's not a problem in Romania, it's a problem outside Romania. So the Romanian government has been making efforts as well on their part. They are paying, because a lot, if you recall, in the last 2 years, a lot of people raised the cost of a visa application. And it's one of the barriers of entry, $150 for a lot of people. It represents a significant sum. There's no getting around it. It's not like the State Department is going to waive that fee anytime soon. So that's just, part of the process, and that will remain. The Romanian government it's in the sense that they are paying for employees from the government who do interact with the United States, whether it be on the security side, commercial side, whatever. They are supporting the cost of the $150. So they're putting in their fair share. Albeit there was there's some trolling going on in this neck of the woods. You can only imagine where it's coming from, but basically it's stuff popping up. The Romanian government is spending $250 million on visa application fees, to stuff the money in the U.S. I guess the U.S. State Department's coffers. That's all nonsense. But those are the type of things that we encounter from time to time, and sometimes people actually believe it, because the $150 seems to be one of the bigger barriers that we're facing. So I think what we're trying to do is, ideally, even though we want what we call bona fide candidates, the truth is we want the renewals of the existing visas first, because there's 500,000 visas actually out there. There are 500,000 Romanians with visas for the United States that exist today. We need 80,000 of them. New applicants always carry risk. There's always a sort of a fear that they could be rejected. And the waiting time, and it just happens to be the waiting time is good 6 months. So in Romania, the summer, we don't have that much of a problem in terms of getting bona fide candidates. What we need more renewals, that's for sure, because the biggest drop is the diaspora, which I mentioned before. So that gives you sort of a background picture of where we are today. So there's still a lot to work to do. I should also point out, one last point is, I spoke to the travel agencies as well. There's one particular agency, the name is eCar Tours. They're based in Constanza, and they're actually offering packages for the United States. I guess it includes airfare, hotel, etc. That includes the visa application fee in it, which is great. And we're trying to extend it for people with visas, or again, people who have renewal or are eligible for renewal or about to expire. So it's a very interesting concept. How many people will actually bite on that, we don't know, but I want to mention their name. I'm not doing an ad campaign, but it's eCar Tours. And the gentleman, Christy, I spoke to him today, who's very active in terms of helping out. The reason that it's sort of a novelty is that a lot of the agency travel tours are really just more interested in sort of selling tickets. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to bring to the embassy's doorsteps what we call bona fide candidates. So it's really about the screening process. Who are the people that are applying? Obviously, people with existing visas today are going to have a lot easier time than those applying for the first time. So I'll just stop there, Donna. And let you take
Radu, I am so impressed with your campaign, and I would like your help in my own campaign that I've done as an immigration attorney. I do have the license to discourage people from applying if they're from outside of Romania and they have a high rate of denial. So under my own license, I created a video, which I want to share with you so you could give me tips.
I've seen by the way, Don, I've seen your video, and you were one of the best influences we had. Don't worry. If it's the same one we're talking about, are you kidding me? We saw it. We loved it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. But
You
any
were,
other?
you were articulate, you were clear, you were detailed, you were the best influencer. You know, you should start your own Facebook page on it because it was very, very effective and it was very balanced approach. So we saw it. Don't worry, we saw it. We were looking at the government and we were having conversations with some of our sponsors, really, in the case of BT, and showing, you know, the impact of, you know, the influence that we're using. So it's well known, but if you want to share it now, you can. I have no problem. It might be a little long for this conversation, but you can be.
And we can promote it as well, Donna, on Alianza's if you send it to me on all our socials. And I also wanted to mention that I see that Valentin joined, could you jump in for a second? Is that Valentin Vatajelu, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't have more things to add than Radu said. I totally agree. Dana created the best video we can ever ask for to tell exactly what the expectations are from our fellow nationals outside Romania in terms of not applying for the following 5 months and a half for a US visa. And the positive message is to encourage renewals. We are on the right track. The trend is positive, but renewals are essential for the success of the project.
And maybe you can kind of give everybody a little bit of background of what your role is in this process, because I believe that you're playing a pretty significant role.
So the role is to coordinate what needs to be done in terms of fulfilling the technical requirements. So added to the visa refusal rate, Romania has to fulfill a lot of activities in terms of sharing information on the security side. In January, we signed 2 important agreements. Now, after signing it, we are on the implementation phase. So we have our commitment as government is to fulfill all the criteria, technical criteria, by the end of the fiscal year 2024. So added to getting below 3% in September 30th, we will have all the other technical requirements accomplished, and then we consider our job done, and we wait for the American side to evaluate our efforts and see when we will join the program.
Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. Let me ask you a question on Donna's video, which I heard about for the first time today, but it seems to be getting rave reviews. It is targeted, I guess, primarily at folks who would be unlikely to qualify for a visa. Is that my understanding?
That's correct. Romanians living and working in Europe, outside of Romania, and who would lack the classical non-immigrant intent.
Gotcha. So this is a question for Radu. I mean, is there a way to target, or maybe it's already being doing, to target promotion of that video to those Romanians in Western Europe?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the digital media space provides us so many different opportunities to channel these things extremely well. I couldn't tell you exactly how we do it because I leave the media guys to do that, but we can target them. We know what they listen to. We know what they're, you know, tuning into. And after we get the material, we just have to, you know, place it in the right spot at the right time. So that's not an issue.
That'd be, I mean, it seems to me that goes to the top of the list in terms of next steps.
Well, I think the way to look at it, Jim, is this: if you have an influencer that we know these people tune into,
right?
They tune into them anyway. So just what they'll do is when they tune into this influencer, whether it be in whatever format they're using, they'll get exposed. And then what we try to do is the format's done in a way that attracts attention. Then it goes viral. Then people start talking about it. They say, hey, so they send a link, and it just spreads like a pandemic.
Well, hopefully more positive than a pandemic.
Yeah, more positive.
So,
but also the paid ads can be geo-targeted specifically to, and so.
So someone else has joined us. Alina?
Alina Petru. Hello, hi Alina, welcome. Alina's a friend.
Bună, hi.
Bună, Alina.
Do folks have questions for Donna or for Radu, or suggestions, or for Valentin? Celia, Victor, Lena?
Well, there will be a recording of this as well, right?
Yes.
Good, because I'm sorry I couldn't make it for the first 10 minutes, so I missed that, but that's okay. We're here to help anyway, so
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
So I guess maybe one question I'll throw out is, what would be the most optimistic scenario here for a timeline for this? And can we see a scenario where, similar to Schengen, where Romania is lumped in with Bulgaria or some other country, and that can delay things?
Maybe Valentin, you want to take that
I think
on?
that's a Valentin question.
I'll take it, and I have the answers actually. So I'll start with the second one. Visa waiver is not Schengen 100%. It's totally different. It's US to each country bilateral project, so it's not linked in any way. To my understanding, I think we are much ahead of the other European Union countries remaining outside the Visa Waiver Program, Cyprus and Bulgaria, or at least Bulgaria for sure. Cyprus, I know they are very good when it comes to, or better than us in terms of the refusal rate, but they have other challenges. So I think it's one-to-one project, US to each of the countries. In terms of optimistic calendar, there are many scenarios, but what's best to be mentioned at this moment is that if we fulfill the criteria by the end of the fiscal year 2024, meaning September 30th, then in the following period, the technical process is that DHS, Homeland Security Department, they should start having evaluation visits in Romania to see on the ground the fact that we fulfill the criteria. After those visits, the Secretary of Homeland Security notifies the Department of State, State Secretary, that Romania is fulfilling the criteria, and then the country is invited into the program. I don't know. I cannot give you any dates, but what's for sure, it's 2025. Can be beginning, middle of the year, end of the year, but it cannot be earlier than 2025. So this is what all the information I received so far. I think we will have a better understanding of the follow-up actions once we will be by the end of the fiscal year 2024.
Thank you.
No, that's very helpful, though. Thank you.
Yeah, Victor.
Vali, one question I had during the last interview with John Florescu was if we are below 3% on October 1st, 2024, is it feasible for DHS to put us into Visa Waiver Program as soon as January 2025? Is there going to be a delay? Do they have the capacity to plug us in right away?
It's very challenging because we have elections in both sides, and technically the process should not be affected, but I don't know what I mean. The earliest can be January 2025, but I think it's safest to say that we wait for them to see exactly when they want us in. I mean, once even if we have they will need some time to collect all the information, and normally the refusal rate, it's traditionally announced in January. So for the official refusal rate is published on the Department of State website. This year, I think it was published in February. We had 2 years ago, it was in June. But I think we can expect to have it published or the earliest in December this year, but normally it should be January, and then we will see exactly the technical process, because it's that visit, the evaluation visit on the ground. It's a must. It's a technical procedure in DHS activities. So I think, yeah, it's the most optimistic month is January, but I don't. And to us, I mean, to be honest, totally honest, I don't mind if it will be March and not January, or if it will be June. At least I'm sure it's gonna happen next year. So I'm really positive we will be there next year. But the overall message is that we need this whole of society effort to reach the criteria. The technical ones are on my shoulders, so don't worry on those. I'll do my best to it, but let's get under this 3% and do what's needed. And the two actions are what we have to do and encourage is to get as many renewals as possible, and to try to limit the refusals outside Romania.
Great.
I
Thank
think-
you, Valentin. I think Victor had a question.
Yes, thank
Can
you.
I have I'm sorry. Go
Just
ahead.
really quick. We obviously, all of us are here for the same reason, and we all know what we want and what the process is and the timelines and everything. But I just want to ask, I mean, let's be, very realistic here. I don't think this is going to happen this year. I mean, I know when Poland got into the effort that, the Polish government put into it, the money they're into it, it was a very big effort. My question is, what's going to happen if this is not going to take place this year? I mean, is this like are we going to restart next year? What are the next steps? We talked about more positive outcome, but let's talk about the other outcome too. What's going to happen in the next year or the next years? Is this a continuous process, and is this going to restart next year? Can anybody tell me about that, please?
It's a good question. Who'd like to pick that up?
I'll pick it up, and
Valentin, that's for you. Yeah.
I think it's. I hope you all understand me clearly. It's a one-shot project, so I'm more positive than you are, Victor, that we will succeed this year. And I don't know how much our efforts are reflected, but trust me, we are doing more than Poland did in the year they accessed the program. So I don't. We don't have plans for 2025 fiscal year yet, because we push all our efforts in a one-shot project.
In other words, we're planning for success.
And that's great, but again, not
Yeah.
trying to be a negative. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
This is a one shot. So if it's not going to take place, what's going to happen? Are we going to be able to take another chance at it in, I don't know, 2 years,
Okay.
3 years, 5 years, or what's the
So
process?
the challenge is, if we don't succeed this year with all our efforts, 2025 it's not gonna replicate. It's impossible to have the same involvement if we, with all the push to get renewals with everything, because technical requirements will be fulfilled. The only thing to be accomplished is the refusal rate. And if we don't make it this year, the next year we won't start. If, for example, if you get this year at 3.1%, it's not the number, the digit we will start next year. It will be a total reset. So we start from zero. So then it's another process. And if we pushed all our efforts this year, even with all Radu mentioned, with government involvement, with influencers, with everyone, and we won't make it this year, it's very unlikely we will be able to do it in the following 1 or 2 years after we finish this project. So I don't know, I don't have the words to tell you exactly how much energy we need to put in the following 5 months, because it's doable, and it's not only our commitment, but it's the US administration also project. So we are both on the same side, and the start stars aligned, and it's exactly the right moment for us to get in.
Great, thank you. Do we have any data on what's the percentage today, approximate?
No, we don't have it, and they don't.
They don't share that.
They cannot share that. The U.S. law denies to share information during the process. So we get information in terms that we are on the right track, and we can get there, but we need this effort for us as a country to push all our efforts towards that 3%, and renewals are the key to it.
In very simple terms, it's basically the trend is good. We're not there yet. The trend is positive. We do have to address the diaspora, which is a high, rate of refusal. But the trend is a positive. I just would add that because people are asking us, so what else can we do? Okay, we're going to do it. I think it's very important that the Alianza, who's been involved, obviously Valentin, the government is involved. Valentin's very active as well. It's important to connect the dots. So there's different entities, there's different organizations, different individuals that are all working together, actually they're working on this project. I think there has to be a little more cohesion in terms of the efforts that are being made to align those objectives and make sure that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. And I think that's where Alianza is well positioned to do exactly that. And there's something that came up in the course of the last 2 days where we have another organization that would like to have a very good idea, but they need a sponsor host, i.e. to allow the website of like Alianza to host the idea, to project it, communicate it. That's something where it just came up today. We can talk about that another time. But I think we have to align the efforts and make sure that everyone knows what the other is doing, because I think that will accelerate, this positive trend that we're seeing of late. So I just want to mention that.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there are a lot of, throughout the country, there are probably tens of organizations that each one of them is trying to do something and influence this process and help with the process. I don't think we did a good job of putting all of these efforts together. So from my, perspective, we should have prepared for this 1 or 2 years in advance and have all these efforts all put together for the common goal here. Like you said, that there are still some ideas coming right now, and we should do this and we should do that. But I think it's a little bit too late in the game right now to actually have all of this effort, pulling into the same direction. So, but, lesson learned, I guess.
But just, to jump in for a second and say that it also sounds like we need to kind of reach out to the European organizations, diaspora organizations, to kind of have them spread the word, because, to their constituents, so to speak, and members. Because what we're trying to do is try to get to the Romanians who live in Europe, and explain to them that they should not go and apply for a U.S. visa in Europe this year, at least, right?
It would have been a really nice year this year with the elections and everything. A lot of politicians are actually, in the diaspora, in the Europe a lot. And that should have been the message that they should have, give to our Romanians in Europe and stuff. So that's why I'm saying it's an effort on all the sides, including government, politicians, and everybody else, that we should have known better.
I think that's correct, Victor. But one thing to keep in mind, the messenger in this particular case, the messenger is very, very important. And so when you're trying to persuade someone, the person delivering the message is the key. And that's hence why we've been using this influencer campaign, because we're using people. We're very selective about the influencers that we use, in the sense that we want to make sure that if people look at them, listen to what they say, they actually will follow their advice. Obviously, some politicians are going to be more effective than others. Some might get rejected outright and do the opposite. Who knows? But I think it's very important to carry a message that is consistent and within the parameters of what we're trying to achieve in terms of messaging and the objectives. The second is when and how to talk to these people, because a message can be given in different manners. There's 1,000 ways to say shut up, right? You can say please be quiet, or you can say shut up. So all that counts, and the feedback we're getting is the influence that we've been using. They have a very, very positive impact. They're very skillful. And I go back to Donna, not to overflatter you, Donna, but your presentation was very, very convincing. It was very balanced. It was clear. It was detailed, and it resonated. So that part is very, very important.
Well,
go ahead, please, Donna.
If we could push it to groups, so I tried to post it on Facebook groups for Romanians all over Europe, and certain groups, they accepted it. Other groups, they were kind of suspicious. What's this? So if anybody here has access to keep sharing it to groups in Europe of Romanians in Europe, that would probably be of great benefit to the campaign.
Dana, we have that mapping of Romanians in Europe and throughout the world, really, which can be used, which is coordinated by Diana Gini, if you know her.
No.
From Romanian United Fund.
I know her.
It's based on the projects we did in the past year and what we're doing this year as well, to support Romanian causes abroad, and mostly via Transilvanica, if you've seen that, and I'm sure you have. So what's happened is that starting last year, we started putting together a network of organizations interested in promoting Romanian interests abroad, wherever they are in the world. And for the first time, there were like 60 organizations that simultaneously conducted events and displayed the branded kit that we offered them for via Transilvanica. And this year it's going at full speed as well. So if you can imagine, let's say 100 organizations times 200, 300, 500 each people they can reach. And that takes me to actually the first question I had. Sorry for not being here from the beginning again. Do we have a figure? Do we have a net number in terms of how many people do we need to dissuade from applying, and how many people we should add to applying? I mean, the 3% is a percentage. What are we really talking about? How many people do we need to get to? Is that hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions? What do we need to reach? Do we have an idea about that? How many visas are issued every year? How many of those is 3%? Right. That sort of question. So that sort of equation, is that available?
Who would like to take that?
I could attempt preliminarily to respond to that question.
Yeah.
So I would say not how many, rather where, right? If we know that Romanians in Milan, Rome, London, and Madrid, Spain, or Spain in general, have the highest rate of denial, maybe we focus on those countries.
Sure.
More than any other countries. So the only other math that I have in mind is every denial from a Romanian abroad has to be compensated with 33 visa.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I'm just curious. I mean, really, nobody can give me a number.
Oh, I think Valentin or Radu can.
How many visas do we apply for?
We need 80,000. That's the rough number. 80,000.
80,000 what? New visas? New applications?
Renewed or successful approved visas. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Radu.
And just to go back, the number of Romanian, there's 500,000 Romanians who have a visa, existing visa today. Okay. Some we don't know exactly, we don't know ourselves when they're going to expire, if they're about to expire. If we get 80,000 of those 500,000 to renew their visas, we're in the clear. That's a hard number.
Okay. Maybe we could circulate that math as well a little bit, because it gives you ideas and it gives you a different perspective on what needs to be done and how quickly and where. As Dana was pointing out, regionality is very important.
Yeah.
The only other 2 cents I want to add to this is as we are reaching to the American authorities, the thing that I came across most surprisingly and most often among Romanians is that they usually, when they talk about the American visa, they talk about the American visa. There's no, when you start telling them that there's tens or maybe 100 types of visas, they sort of, they're flabbergasted. They're like, what? And that's such a simple message that the embassy could actually turn into a nice poster that I'm sure Radu or anybody else would be happy to do. And that's something that anyone entering or thinking about entering the embassy for a visa would see. Do you know how many types of visas are there? And do you know which one fits you? I mean, that's such a simple message, and it can help us a lot with people that really don't know what they're doing and they're hurting the whole process unknowingly.
Donna, you want to take that? Because I think you know that one.
Yeah, that's a great communication tool. I've actually incorporated it in some versions of my video appearances. And
I know. Yeah, but just make it a simple poster that you can have everywhere on every website that's part of this, on every American embassy communication channel in online and offline, and on the freaking door of the embassy, and 3 miles ahead of that, and on the road to the embassy, and the bus stop, and wherever people go to pay whatever tax they have to pay through the bank, and places like that, just going through the funnel of, this is the yellow brick road that takes you to the embassy. Here's your fucking poster. Have you really identified what you're doing with your money and your time? And that sort of thing.
Let me jump in and tell you that actually the technical process is not like that. It's not like you would knock at the door of the embassy and you say, I want a US visa. You need to fulfill a form in advance, so you get already the information that you need to know when fulfilling that form. So it takes a lot of education process before you reach the embassy.
Okay.
So
I'm sure.
I don't think that's the biggest issue, that the fact that Romanians don't know exactly what kind of visa they apply, because so far most of them are really aware that B1, B2 is tourist visa and they are not immigrant visa, and if you want to work you need to check for others. And this educational process you suggested may help, but I don't see it as the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that normally Romanians abroad are more likely to be refused because of the American law, immigration law, that require ties to the country of origin, economical and social ties. And since they immigrated once to other countries in Europe, they get less, their chances to get a visa. I don't know the percentage that it's affecting their score, but it's less than applying in Bucharest. So
percentages and numbers do help to clarify what the issue is and how you can affect it.
Do help, but you don't get the numbers. So even if I tell you we need 10,000 visa, that's not quantifiable, because you don't know how many really applied. Now I understand that there are big queues for an application now to get a visa in Romania. You need to wait, the earliest I think it's November, to be scheduled for an interview.
Yeah.
And that's why
that's the problem.
Yes, but for the purpose of our project renewals, they don't need interviews. So that's why it's the easiest way to get renewals is that you don't need to go to the embassy. So renewals are you get if you have a visa that it's valid, or if it expired below 4 years, no more than 4 years, you just email your passport to the embassy with the form, you pay the fee, and you get it back in 1 week. And that's helping the process.
So that's clear. Yeah.
So now encouraging Romanians where to apply or not to apply, it's more it's good, but if we need to
it's too late.
Concentrate the efforts, it's just for renewals.
Okay,
And
so it's too late for that.
I understand pessimism, or how you want to call it, to be different than my optimism. I don't have any political agenda. I just telling you that from a technocrat point of view, things are doable and are reachable, and I trust me when I'm telling you that we can make it this year. Even if you consider that we missed steps and we missed planning, and planning helps, but most of the evolution developments of things we couldn't foresee exactly. So we need to adapt, but nevertheless, the message I want to share with you is that we can make it. We can make it, and it's more doable than ever. But let's concentrate our efforts towards these two actions. Let's encourage as many renewals as possible. Forget the numbers, forget quotas. As many renewals as possible. This is the right message we need to share, and to limit as many refusals abroad. And if it's the impact of refusals is exponential, because we all came to this mass that it's 1 to 33 visas that needed to cover a refused one. So if we limit the applications abroad where refusals are more likely to happen, the two actions can get us in. And here I don't have anything to add.
That's a good positive note. Are there any other questions that folks have?
I thought Chang had a question or a comment. Chang, is that right? Chang? Oh, there we
Yes,
go.
hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
do you have a question?
Yeah. So I was recently in Romania, I think 2 weeks ago, on AMRO, a business mission. And at the event that we held at Ambassador Kavalik's residence, we talked about this visa waiver issue and what we, as U.S. firms, who actually hire a great number of Romanian employees in the country, can do to help with this process. And that is, not only are we encouraged to make sure that our employees renew their visas should they have expired, but also to go ahead and apply even for new visas for the employees that we feel that will be able to pass the muster and get a visa. So we were all encouraged to do this, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Some of my employees, obviously their visas have expired more than 4 years ago, but in that case, then we'll just have to apply fresh. So there's a great, let's say, effort on the part of US companies who are working in Romania to go ahead and invite their employees to the US for this purpose. Yeah. So that's, I guess, another community ecosystem, if you can say, that are trying to do whatever they can to help out with this process.
That's great.
Right.
Good.
So I have one last ask, Jim, because we're speaking about, what's the next steps. What we're trying to do is, we're going to the second wave on the influencers campaign. And, unfortunately, like anything, it requires some funding. Now, we've been successful in securing some of the money we need for the second stage, but we're still short. I'm not talking big money, talking something 15 to 20,000 short. So I would just ask if we can use, firms, and I've been reaching out to a lot of American firms. I'm in touch, obviously the embassy and the Romanian government can't solicit funds, but I can. So we're looking at different sort of efforts that we get people from the business community in the room that, here again, it's not like, I don't think they've not heard about the visa waiver efforts, but get them in the room, and then I can certainly follow up. But just for this audience here, if you know of American firms willing to put in, this is all through Alianta, Jim, as well, because the foundation is the conduit for these efforts. So we're looking to raise, that is a hard ask. So 15, 20,000 is what we're looking for. If we get that, we can go into the next stage. I'm still working as much as I can here locally, but if we can raise that kind of money, that'll make a big difference.
Radu.
Yeah.
what does that mean in terms of cash flow for you? I mean, you would need this urgently, or that would be okay if you got it in I don't know, November, December, sometimes
Well,
later.
cash flow, I mean, you know, each firm has their own politics, and it's not an issue of if you're referring of if we can fund it. I think, you know, we're
Well, delay payments to suppliers or whatever. That's what I mean.
Yeah, to a certain extent, maybe, but I think there'd be limits as well. I mean, honestly,
Okay,
we're
let me
not
tell you
talking about a
why.
big amount. We're just
Let me
asking.
let me tell you why, because I just had a thought, and maybe it's a good one, hopefully. I've been working on projects with the Department for the Romanians abroad. And this year they will reopen their funding session in about a month. And the projects they fund this year have no budgetary limit. So you could basically go and ask for $1 million if that has an estimated impact that is realistic and credible on the Romanian diaspora, on the benefit, for the benefit of the Romanian diaspora, that is. So if we could link this campaign and this effort to a strategic initiative that benefits the diaspora, and explain that to them.
I can't think of a better one. It benefits the European.
Exactly. I was, you know, you can see my quote unquote approach to this. We can go to them and apply for funding.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Alina, a little bit.
What? I'm breaking up?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So we could apply for funding for that, provided that we can plan it. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, now we can.
So the idea is, if we can plan something that that is sort of safe to invest in starting 3-4 months from now, so that we have time to see whether they do fund it or not, but we put our own resources in or talk to the partners so that we actually start they start invoicing in 3-4 months when we are clear about whether we are getting the funding or not. That would be great. Or you know, I'm sure if there's government interest in that, that something can be worked out. And we do have
maybe so Alina, maybe you can send like an outline of like the steps required, and so that it's a little bit clear in terms of both the timeline and the level of effort. And I think it's best to kind of approach it in a concrete way of like, okay, so who needs to do what and when.
Yeah, sure. The moment does anyone have like the description of the again, I'm sorry, I was like 15 minutes late into the meeting, so I don't know if you presented something or there's a document or whatever there is that we're trying to fund.
Elena, let me suggest this. Why don't you and Radu follow offline on this?
Sure.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, right. No problem. It's just that I need what is it that we're trying to fund.
Sure.
And then I can come with a proposal on this line of idea if everybody agrees with that.
Terrific.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. That's no problem.
Okay. And that's a great project. What I want to add one more thing for Radu and Dana, maybe. I think we're at least 15, honorary consuls throughout the country, Dana. If we're talking about
20, 20.
Okay, there you go. And we need $20,000. I mean, if any of us has a problem to donate $1,000 for it, then we do have a problem throughout the country. Even if we don't do it on our, on our behalf, personal behalf, I'm pretty sure that each one of us has at least 2, 3, 5 friends, companies, or whatever in our areas that can sponsor each one of them with $200, $300. So while I totally appreciate these efforts from the government, it's a long process. It takes paperwork. It takes energy. It takes.
That's a very good idea.
Maybe Dana, we can talk and say, look, we have 20 honorary consuls, each one of us. I mean, let's put the money where our mouth is, right? If it's so hard to put $1,000 for each one of us and actually push this through, then we do have a problem.
So let me.
That's a good suggestion. That's a good. I know I can be helpful with the honorary consul from Houston, by the way, but.
Well, let me suggest this, and I want to be cognizant of people's time. We're running up against about an hour here. Let me suggest this, Radu. Why don't you follow up with Florina and Chang and Raluca in terms of Alianza? Given that Alianza is the sponsor of this, we could do a solicitation from Alianza to all the honorary consuls, but also to our other donors, to companies, put together a list and go out and say, here's what it's for, here's what we got to raise. And then people can do exactly what Victor's suggesting. I
already have a deck already prepared, Jim, so I can put it together very quickly. And Raluca, I'll send it to you, and because it should be coming from Alianza, because Alianza is the conduit and the lead organization. And then you'll have all the information you need. The money, the numbers, I can put the numbers together. That's clear, easy. And
I need to look at it, but I'm happy to sign it. And
yes, and Jim, dish out titles such as Visa Waiver Champion or something.
That's a great idea. That's a very good idea.
For whoever donates to this. And so
that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay. Well, if you guys can pull this together, I think this is a great output from this call.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting any support from the Chamber of Commerce? American Chamber of Commerce?
Local?
Yeah.
I'm pushing that button hard. I met with them today, actually.
Oh, really?
But they're not giving, as an organization, they're not funding, but they're asking, obviously they're asking individual members.
Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions or suggestions for today?
No, I think it would be great if we could just circulate these documents, the deck that Radu was talking about, and everything else, and maybe try and put people on the same page and see what resources we have to disseminate all that. That would be great.
Super. All right. Thank you all very, very much. This is very productive and very helpful. To be continued. We will get this over the finish line.
Thanks, everybody.
Sure. See you. Bye.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Bye. Bye, Dana.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
Bye there.